Hello, everyone. Welcome into Sports Talk Chicago's Quick Hit Cubs White Sox edition here with Joey Christopoulos. Thank you so much for tuning in. Follow me at Joey Sports Guy. Follow us at Sports Talk Shy. Or if you're watching this on YouTube right now, like, click, and subscribe. Want to talk a little baseball for you real quick. Just give you a quick hit as the Crosstown Classic is going on right now. I'm taping this before the second of the two-game set between the Cubs and White Sox. Look, I think a lot of people in the end of the season are going to be talking about the Chicago Cubs. So I'm going to get them out of the way, and then I want to talk a little White Sox here with you. We also have a great guest coming up a little bit later this week. Good Guys Talk Back host Nick Morawski will be joining us too as well, so make sure you check that out. In regards to the Chicago Cubs, they needed the victory last night. They got it in the 7-6 fashion. Little rain delay, little homer. They're going to have to slug to be able to get back into necessarily the race for the NL Central, even though they are playing for the NL wild card right now. But really, what does that mean when you have a $226 million payroll? My bottom line with the Chicago Cubs right now is that their upcoming opponents after the White Sox tonight, they got the Cincinnati Reds, the Tampa Bay Rays, St. Louis Cardinals, and the San Francisco Giants. They do not take on an opponent that is over 500 currently, as I'm taping this today, until June 28th. It's not make or break time, but if you really want to start to position yourself and ask serious questions of what this Chicago Cubs team can do in September and October, this is the stretch right now where they really need to show it. They got to start slugging, and the guys that matter, Suzuki, Bellinger, and Morel, these are the type of guys that need to step up. Anyways, moving on to the Chicago White Sox. In The Athletic today, Ken Rosenthal put together a fantastic article that honestly I think was music to a lot of White Sox fans' ears. A lot of it talked about the hourglass of Pedro Grifol's era in Chicago on the South Side as the White Sox dropped to 15-46 last night. Ken Rosenthal says that, Grifol's time could be sooner than later cut short here in Chicago. He might be axed before or after the trade deadline. Just to pull up a couple quotes here right now. In terms of the timing of when general manager Chris Getz is going to make the move, he says, I quote, "The test of Getz's patience with Grifol likely will come down later in the season when the White Sox are ready to promote some of their top prospects. At that point, Getz will need to decide. Can top young players such as shortstop Colson Montgomery, Edgar Quero, and right-hander Drew Thorpe thrive in the environment Grifol has created, or might the entire team benefit from a change right then and there?" Right then and there, more like right then and yesterday. Another quote here coming up from Grifol. Obviously, a lot of people, a lot of players in the locker room pushed back on his comment about them being effing flat a couple of weeks ago. One White Sox player granted anonymity on his candor, viewed Grifol's quote, "The effing flat" comment is simply an attempt to motivate the club, adding, "It's really hard to judge him when you have a team made up like this and all of these injuries." I've said it before, I'm not a big Pedro Grifol fan, but again, I think the person that's really getting a free pass on this one is newly minted general manager Chris Getz, who, not to be glib or to be sarcastic about it, literally seems like the president and owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, peeked out his office window or office door, looked down the hallway, pointed at Chris Getz, and just named him the general manager after dismissing Rick Hahn last year. The team that he put together was embarrassing, ridiculous, and insulting even to begin the season. Pedro Grifol, to his credit, tried to at least paint a good picture of how we're going to play hard. We're going to play fundamentally smart. We're going to have this sort of IQ that we didn't have previously. And unfortunately, with the talent on the roster, because you do need talent to play in professional sports, it's completely fallen on his face. Just to read a couple things off right now. The Chicago White Sox at 15-46 rank dead last in all of Major League Baseball in, obviously, wins. They're leading the major leagues in losses, 46. They are last in home runs. They are last in batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, runs scored by a difference of 46. The second to last team has 46 more runs scored than the Chicago White Sox this season. They're dead last in walks, home runs, and also home runs allowed. They're second to last in ERA and also second to last in runs allowed. They're right now, it is just fresh into June, and they're already 25 and a half games out of first place. They have a minus run differential of 139. They've been outscored by 139 runs already this season. In 61 games into the year, Pedro Grifol's boys have only 5 road wins. The team batting leader among qualified hitters right now is Gavin Sheets, and his number is 232. With guys with more than 20 at-bats with runners in scoring position, only 4 guys on the entire roster have an average over 200 with runners in scoring position. And, of course, your highest paid player, the guy that you gave $75 million to just 2 years ago, Andrew Benintendi, is hitting 144 on the road. And, oh, yeah, your free agent signing, the guy that was supposed to raise the IQ in the room of the fundamentally sound White Sox, your catcher, washed-up Martin Maldonado, has 2 hits in the month of May. 2 hits, and he played a lot. He had 39 at-bats. He had 2 hits. What is this all leading towards? It's leading towards Ken Rosenthal writing this article that Pedro Grifol might be on the way out. He also alluded to a report that Chris Getz has continued his conversations with the San Diego Padres, who he just traded Dylan Cease to in spring training, and they're already talking about a possible deal framework for a Garrett Crochet trade. Garrett Crochet, the 11th overall pick, your first-round pick only 3 or 4 years ago, fresh off of a Tommy John, that ain't coming back for him right now, is already in trade rumors. The dude is 24 years old. He's probably vying to be one of the only all-stars in this team right now, and he has 2 years of control left, and you're already talking about dealing this guy. I get it if you want to trade guys like Eric Fetty. That's why you signed them in the first place, to try and get something out of them during the season, and then around the all-star break and the trade deadline, try and get some prospects to build for tomorrow. In my opinion, why are you even entertaining a Garrett Crochet deal right now? The dude is 24 years old. You have 2 more years of control with him. So what are you saying, that they're not even going to be competitive in 2 or 3 years? Is it going to be 5, 6, 7, 8? So by the time that they're good again, Garrett Crochet's in his 30s. This part just doesn't make any sense to me. And I found it really funny that on the other side of town, the Chicago Cubs, couple games under 500 right now, obviously having a disappointing month of May, trying to get things right in June. What happens with it? Obviously, Craig Counsell's been speaking a lot to the media because he does after every game, but Jed Hoyer met the media the other day to kind of front face a little bit and talk about how some of these guys and some of their slumps, especially offensively, are going to turn around in the coming weeks. My question is, where is Chris Getz right now? Pedro Grifol, I'm not a fan. I don't think he's a qualified major league manager. I didn't like the hire at the time. I don't like some of the fake rah-rah stuff of, we're going to be obsessed every single day. This is all I think about is winning baseball, which is really depressing because you don't win any baseball games. But where's Chris Getz being at least out in front of this? And as a White Sox fan, why can't you just give me some sort of plan? Why can't you tell me anything? Give me some sort of outline, because right now, what really pisses me off is that a lot of people are saying, well, look, no one's going to these White Sox games. You know why they're not going to the White Sox games? Is because the team sucks. It's not a lack of interest. White Sox fans are passionate. We care so much about baseball. I've always said, because I'm both a White Sox and a Cubs fan, the Cubs I kind of lead with my heart because it's romantic, it's nostalgic, there's a lot of myth and legacy there. But with the White Sox, I've always led with my head because that is baseball. And White Sox fans are knowledgeable, headstrong, confident, passionate baseball fans who aren't going to give Jerry Reinsdorf his money right now. So for the fact that Chris Getz isn't willing to talk to the media, explain the plan, maybe knock down some of these Garrett Crochet rumors if they are or not true, or just say, you know what, yeah, we're trading him now because I'm trying to build something that's going to be steady in 3 or 4 years, and we're going to have to pay Garrett Crochet at that time. Just give me anything. But him not speaking to us right now is completely insulting. John Striffen, the new announcer, look, I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he means well, but at times I think he also is insulting a White Sox fan base by trying to tell us that, oh, well, we're just catching these teams at the wrong time. And White Sox pride. Look, we have plenty of White Sox pride. You don't need to gin it out of us. Basically, you're insulting us by telling us that this team is just getting a couple of bad breaks right now. We know this team sucks. We know the talent is terrible. The only problem is, usually when this happens, there's a couple of young kids that you can at least wrap your head around and root for and watch grow up and mature and hopefully become foundational pieces moving forward. I think Garrett Crochet is one of those pieces. I think Corey Lee could possibly be one of those pieces. Again, they mentioned about the Edgar Quero, Drew Thorpe, Colson Montgomery. I mean, Colson Montgomery not really, producing right now in the minor leagues, but he should be a guy that hopefully should come up and get a lot of run. Those are things that White Sox fans want to root for. But there's only a couple of guys right now. So what is the plan? We know the White Sox aren't going to spend any money. So this is all going to have to be prospect driven. So answer me the question of why are you trading someone like Garrett Crochet now when you already have a piece there in place? I say it all the time. I said it with the Chris Sale trade. I didn't like the Chris Sale trade because I get it. Yohan Moncada was the number 2 prospect in baseball. That's great. But anytime you trade a Chris Sale, you're always going to be trying to find the next Chris Sale to replace the one you just got rid of. Garrett Crochet could possibly be one of those guys, a dude who is young with a ton of control, throws a bunch of heat, racks up a bunch of Ks, is left-handed, and looks like he's got the makeup to possibly be a top half starter in a rotation that hopefully can compete. Can't you just check that off the box and move on to something else? Why do you need to trade him right now? It's sad. It's awful. We're going to talk more about it with Nick Morawski soon. But obviously with the Chicago White Sox, this thing is going in a bad way. It's in a bad direction. I'm not saying anything that isn't news to anyone. And that's the funny part about it right now is that if the White Sox aren't careful, they're at 12 losses in a row right now. They're going to become more popular for how terrible they are than they have been in the last 2 or 3 years since probably the Field of Dreams game. And that's what happens. That's what we do in sports. We talk about greatness, but we also talk about historical badness. When you suck so bad that you're making history, that's what the Chicago White Sox are doing right now, and they have to be careful because they're about to make headlines for all the wrong reasons. I'm Joey Christopoulos, Sports Talk Chicago. This is our quick hit on a Wednesday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Full episodes coming with Corey Wooten this week, and also Good Guys Talk Back, Nick Morawski. Be well, be safe, please be good to each other. Enjoy the day.